Does everything need an upgrade? Do we have to switch out everything from DVD, Blu-ray to 4K? Let's chat about it today on the channel. Okay, yeah, welcome back. So yeah, I'm currently doing a series of videos at the moment. Would I upgrade to 4K for certain titles? And I'll try and leave a link at the end of this video for those videos so you can go and check them out. So yeah, are retailers sort of encouraging us to upgrade, get rid of sort of older films in our collection? I think we're seeing it quite a bit now with retailers. I'm guilty of it. A lot of us are guilty of doing it. I've done it with different editions of films. The most recent one I've done is Enter the Dragon. I own this on DVD, Blu-ray, and now 4K. Got this wonderful collector's edition Steelbook. This edition here, fantastic. Did I need it? Probably not, but the collector in me liked the packaging, liked the extras, different to what I've got before, so it encourages me to create, you know, more of a collection of different formats. However, are we leaving behind other formats? Are people getting rid of their DVDs thinking, well, they're not worth it anymore, you know, let's get rid of them? Blu-rays, we're seeing the value of those go down. Again, are people kind of ditching those for the 4K equivalent? Is there really that much extra from the 4K to warrant the upgrade? I think it's subjective. For me personally, I'm very much looking at reviews now of films that are on 4K, deciding whether to make the upgrade purchase, because yeah, as collectors, are we no longer just collecting movies, but we're being encouraged to upgrade these, the newer versions, more elaborate editions, collector's editions with different posters, art cards, artwork. We've seen it with some releases where they release 2 different Steelbook artworks for the same film on 4K. Never used to get this with DVD or even Blu-ray back in the day, but I think retailers are finding new ways to try and encourage us to part with our money. But again, is it really that necessary? A lot of these new films, or majority of new films, are shot digitally, so they're going to look great even on a DVD. Blu-ray is fantastic for modern films, and I've often questioned, well, do I really need to upgrade that? And I think as a collector, that's what you really need to do, is to question whether you really think it's worth paying the extra money for a minimal upgrade. Yes, there are some films that look absolutely stunning, and generally they are films from days gone by. I'm talking Ben-Hur, Jaws, Close Encounters, these kind of epic films that were made many years ago, shot on film. Okay, the DVD copies that we got back in the day probably weren't to the quality of Blu-ray now. They've gone back in, they've restored them lovingly. A lot of these boutique labels are doing this with various films, and sometimes the restorations are really good and sometimes they're not. Take, for example, Arrow Video. Recently they did Demolition Man. Now, I could have picked up the 4K of that, but I decided, no, I'm going to stick with the Blu-ray. And I managed to get the collector's edition for the Blu-ray with everything in it, apart from the 4K disc. And I managed to get it for a fraction of the price than the 4K. I think as a collector, you've got to be informed, you've got to keep pace with what's happening, check reviews out, make choices, because there is this engine that is rolling at the moment that is really encouraging you to upgrade when maybe you don't necessarily need to. Like I've said in previous videos, DVD can look great. There are some great DVD transfers. There are some great players on the market. For example, the Panasonic UB820. Apparently that will upscale DVDs to really, really good HD quality. Again, it's all dependent on the source material, what it can work with, but often you'll find that a DVD with a 5.1 surround sound track is often good enough for a lot of people. I think the 4K market is specifically for those with the equipment, the OLED TVs, the Dolby Vision. If you do have a sound bar with the Atmos or DTS:X immersive soundtracks, you've got the receiver like I have, the cinema setup. 4K is really designed for that market. However, if you just got your standard 4K TV, you know, maybe you just are happy with the Blu-rays, and there is nothing wrong in collecting Blu-rays. They're fantastic quality. Okay, there are some films, maybe the early days of Blu-ray, where they weren't that great an upgrade. You know, they hadn't been sort of restored from the DVD days. So it's definitely worth doing your research, pick and choose what you feel. So yeah, do we ditch and switch, or do we keep and save? Hand the question over to you now. Stick down in the comments. What do you think on this subject? Yeah, I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Would you ditch and switch, or are you going to keep and save? Yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I will leave some links to my upgrade. Would I upgrade to this series of videos? Going through my collection and telling you whether I think I should upgrade these or I'm happy with the Blu-ray. I will get onto some DVDs within my collection as well, and I'll be deciding even whether I decide to upgrade these from DVD to Blu-ray. I may have done already, I may have not. So yeah, look out for those videos in future episodes.